Und jetzt darf ich übergehen zu einem alten, bekannten, junggebliebenen, der jetzt seinen großen Auftritt hat in 2 Pitches. Das ist der Rafael Gattringer von der Infineon. Und der wird uns etwas erzählen, was sich die Infineon gedacht hat dazu, dass das Heim ja eine viel stärkere Bedeutung erlangt hat in den letzten Monaten und Jahren, nämlich als Office. Und er wird das tun gemeinsam mit dem Jens Reinstädt von Infineon München. Hallo, ihr zwei.
Hello, here's Rafael from Vienna, and today I brought a special guest, Jens from München. And before I switch over to him, I just give you an update about our challenge. So our challenge this year is called disruptCOVID. So we want to reduce the risk of having a SARS-2 infection. So why not use technology and electronics for that? And we see a lot of possibilities. And up till now, we had a test project with Florian, one of the makers, and he tried to integrate radar into a new application, as well as we talked to another company for diverse topics in the electronic area. So also, if you're a company and you think you can gain something from our hardware, please approach me, and I'm happy to look into that. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we will have a radar support call with my colleague Martin Schwantner from Linz. So there we can talk about radar and possible applications. But for sure, this bootcamp will rather be for a concepting phase, and then we will send you the hardware. So we want to use this as a restart of the overall challenge. And now I think it's time to switch over to Jens, because Jens was actually already invited in April for the kickoff. But today we are kind of regaining that. So Jens, you're going to tell us about home appliances and how they might be used for this challenge. So Jens, welcome and greetings to Munich.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. Wonderful. So I'm Jens. I'm at Infineon responsible for home appliances. And you probably ask yourself, why is the home appliances, the white goods guy, talking to you about the topic disruptCOVID? And it's quite simple because first of all, I've been responsible for radar sensors for the past 5 years, and we try to participate in these kind of events a lot. And as Rafael said, radar has been part of this in the past. So I'm still really passionate about sensors. And what's really interesting is that the customers that I talk to these days, which are white goods customers, are trying to make the user's life cleaner and more hygienic. And if you look at this list, so I basically stole this slide from another presentation, but if you look at this list, you see on the left side a lot of home appliances, and 4 of them I think are a perfect fit for a more hygienic life or a more hygienic home. Air conditioning in the past was mainly about cooling down air in your home, and they now want to clean the air. They now want to maybe even exchange the air with the outside air, clean it, and so on. Fridges, a bit of a different story. Everyone knows really disgusting fridges, especially if you live or if you have lived in a shared flat. And the companies are now really interested in either cleaning your fridge or so automatically cleaning your fridge, or in at least informing you how disgusting your fridge now is. The washing machine is a pretty obvious one. It's supposed to clean your laundry, so trying to make that better. And the last one is also a pretty obvious one, an air purifier, trying to clean the air, getting rid of bacteria and then viruses. So how can electronics, how can semiconductors, how can tech in general help to have a more hygienic life, which is something that obviously became really important over the last 2 years. Here at the Infineon headquarters, well, obviously not here, but at the Infineon headquarters, we've done a couple of these things, and I just picked 3 of them that came to my mind. The first one is that we put a radar entrance counter into the canteen to count how many people are in. The nice thing about that one is that it's really precise. So even if people would be standing quite close to each other, which they shouldn't during COVID, it could still count those people. But the very nice thing about that one is that you only need one sensor to count people going in and also count people going out. So you actually have the number of people who are in the canteen. The second one is a rather simple one. We measure CO2 in meeting rooms to tell people if the air is old and stale, to open the windows. And the last one, I think, is one of the more interesting ones, because it also got quite some media coverage. It's an open source project for ventilators, so Beatmungsgeräte. Here we used so many different devices, and that was a really interesting project, from sensors to motor control, regular microcontrollers. I think even connectivity is in there. So that was a very interesting project. So I think there's, in general, a lot of room for innovation to counter COVID with technology, not just from the pharma industry. So what are the building blocks that Infineon has to do this? As I mentioned, I come from the sensor side, so I believe that sensing is an extremely important part of that. We have a very large sensor portfolio, and I think I don't want to go deep into each of these sensors. We don't have the time for that. But my main message here is that I think the interesting part and the innovation in sensing doesn't come from the direct measurement. Let's take radar. Radar gives you the distance, it gives you the angle, and it gives you the speed of something. But I mean, the most obvious application for that is measuring a car's speed, or measuring your son on his bike or football. But what's interesting is that we've done gesture sensing. We can actually measure someone's heartbeat from a distance. We can measure even someone's pulse, not from a distance, but without these cuffs. And so we take this data, we take the raw data, and we do something completely different. So although it measures distance, speed, and angle, we can also get gestures, we can get heartbeat, we can get the breathing patterns, we can get the blood pressure, all of these things. And I think this is where innovation becomes really interesting, taking these sensors and using it for something completely different, because the data that you get can be reused. So yeah, I've been talking about radar for a while now. We also have a huge portfolio of magnetic sensors that can measure imbalance, liquid flow. It can simply be used to check if something is open or closed. Pressure, we use that in the ventilator case. It can be used to measure the altitude. So many things. And the microphone is probably even more versatile. Everyone's got several of them in the phone. Can be used for ultrasonic sensing. Can be used for predictive maintenance if devices are going broke. Of course, voice commands. I think here there's so many things that you can do. And we've got a 3D camera as well. Combine that with especially with the PSOC controller that we have. So the PSOC is a type of controller that sits in between a microcontroller and an application processor. So it's in the middle of this, and therefore we believe it's a very good fit for new IoT applications, because some of these processors even have connectivity, in that case, Bluetooth Low Energy on board. We also have other connectivity solutions, mainly Wi-Fi, and we have, of course, for the final execution of something, we have the motor control. So we have all of the parts that are necessary to drive a fan, to drive whatever you want to drive. And I brought one last slide on sensing to give you a quick overview on what these sensors can do and why innovating with Infineon sensors is something that is worthwhile. So I've been mentioning radar. I think radar is I guess the most interesting sensor on this slide, because it's probably one of the newest and most versatile sensors that we have. I mentioned you can do vital, you can do gestures, you can do material detection. There's so many things you can do with it. The nice thing is that we have a plug and play solution, so no need to code anything. We also have a lot of software for radar, so no need to work with the raw signal. So that's something that's a huge advantage. On the microphone side, we have by far the highest signal to noise ratio, so it's easy to pick up voices from far away or in very noisy environments. On the pressure side, we have sensors that can be used outside in very rugged environments. It's extremely small, and also here, very good performance, highest resolution there is. CO2, when it comes to measuring air quality, probably one of the most interesting sensors, especially here in disruptCOVID. Here, similar to radar, it's very easy to use because it's got a direct data output. It's got a microcontroller on the device, so no need to work with the raw data. Also, very, very good performance on for a CO2 sensor. It is really small. Magnetics, huge portfolio in 3D Hall sensors, 3D current sensors. So only thing I say here is that we've got the smallest 3D Hall sensor there is on the market. So for 3D sensing, this is something that is very, very practical. Yeah, that's it on the sensing side. I really hope that you come up with great ideas how to use technology to beat COVID, how to disrupt COVID, or to just have a more hygienic and cleaner home. And that's the objective of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Jens. And I can just hope that you still have enough details to share in our breakout sessions in the afternoon, because you have so many already. Thank you very much.